Hello, my name is Peter Parfitt. Welcome to the new Brit workshop. We're not doing woodwork today. It's autumn here in the UK and it's time to start clearing up the garden. And one of the things I've been meaning to get for many years is a leaf blower. Now, I've done a lot of market research over the last couple of weeks and I've come up with my decision to buy the Husqvarna 125 BVX. But let me just tell you about some of the other makes that I considered and then decided not to buy. Amongst them were Stihl, Mitox, Makita, Mountfield, and there were several others. Now you have to understand that this assessment of mine was based on my internet search and Googling, looking at other reviews. And my second choice was the Stihl SH56CE. It looks like a really good machine, but it was just out of my price range. So I can't tell you whether it's better than the one that I've got. But just before I go into that detail, let me just talk about the Supplier. I did a Google search for the best price and it came up with this company called Radmore and Tucker. And after I went online and did the order, I found their website to be extremely efficient and their communications with their customers were brilliant. I got messages to say, oh, here's your tracking number, etc., etc. Now, I've had no special price from this company. I've paid what was then their online price. And I've been delighted with their service. And inside the box you get the main motor unit, and then there are various attachments. Now, first of all, if you're using it as a blower, you need three parts: this one, and this one. And then if you're using it as a vacuum, you need four parts: this piece here, and also the bag. Now let's do a quick tour of the power unit. It's a two-stroke machine, so therefore the fuel that goes in here has some oil added to it in a ratio of 50:1. There's a pull handle to start it here. There's a stop switch here, and this has got a feature that after you've used it, it returns to the on position so you're ready to start it again. There's a cruise control, which is really useful, which means that once you've got it running at the speed you want, you can set it exactly there, and then you can release the trigger, and you're just then waving the machine around. Another feature is that the center line of the tubing, when you're using it as a blower, is through the center line of the handle, which helps to minimize fatigue after a long period of time. On the reverse here, there's a priming pump, and this is just a little bulb which you press in a few times in order to get petrol into the carburetor before starting for the first time. And then under here is a choke control. And then on the handle here, you can see a fixing point here, and the two ends of the strap go on there, and that then allows you to hook the strap over your shoulder and take the weight of the machine if you're using it for an extended period of time. Now on this side we have the air intake for the fan arrangement, so air comes in here, then goes out through here. Now I'm going to show you how to set this up as a leaf blower. For that to happen, we're going to attach pipes to this part here. And the key pipe to identify is this one. It's got the word Husqvarna written there, and it's got this little piece sticking out at the bottom here, and that's got an important role in a minute. Now, if you look at the main body of the machine, you'll see underneath here there is this bolt, and you're going to have to loosen this off, and if necessary you can use the screwdriver end of the tool. And after you've loosened that bolt, you can then insert this piece with that piece that sticks out facing downwards. So this piece is facing downwards. You're going to push it all the way in, and that hook then goes over that bolt. And once that's in, I'm just tightening this up just enough to hold it in place. And so that's the first part done. And we can now fit one of these two nozzles on the end there. Now you'll note there's a lug at the top here, there's one underneath as well, and on both of these fittings there's a little channel here which will take those lugs, and you can then twist it just like a bayonet fitting when it's in the right position, and that locks it in place. Now the two tubes you can choose from is this round one, and that will give you the maximum volume of air flowing out of the machine, and that's probably what you want most of the time. And then there's this one, which has this flattened nozzle here. And that will give you a lower volume of air going through, but at a higher speed. And this is the sort of thing you would use for stubborn leaves, which are perhaps stuck to a concrete driveway or something like that. And it's quite easy to fit. You're just going to line up the channel on here with the bits that stick out. And then when you've got it in the right place, you twist it and that's locked in place. So that's now ready to use. Now, when this is used as a vacuum, the air comes in here and is blown out there. So therefore, this is where we're going to connect our collection pipes, which are there. And this is where we're going to connect our bag assembly. Now, in the instructions, it says to do the bag assembly first, but I don't think it matters. And it's easier for me, with things on the bench, to start by fitting these collection tubes. Now, you take the spanner, and it's got a screwdriver end, and there's opposite the hinge here, there's a little recess, and you're going to open this cover by just giving a little push like that, and that then opens it up, so you're now able to fit these tubes. Now, it's important to note the padlock symbols, and I've coloured mine with a permanent felt tip pen so you can see them more clearly. On the left here, there's an open padlock, and on the right there's a closed padlock. Now, on this tube, at the part that goes against the machine, there is a closed padlock symbol on one of these raised pieces. Now, we're going to line that up first of all with the open padlock, and that then allows you to get the various bayonet fitting parts lined up like so. And then we're going to twist it, and my padlock symbol here has moved to the right and it's in the locked position. And it's very important that you check that. The reason is that inside this housing here is a shredder and a fan, and you certainly do not wish to get your fingers anywhere near those when this machine is running. And then fitting the second part of the tubing is very simple. Make sure you get it round the right way. There's a slightly narrower piece here, slightly smaller diameter, and that's going to go inside this tube. And you'll find that this needs to be encouraged in there, and eventually you'll find it goes in with no problem at all. So once that bit's done, we can then move on to do the vacuum bag. Now, in order to fit the vacuum bag with its little bit of pipe attachment, we've got to feed this pipe into the vacuum bag. So I'm going to undo the zip on the bag, and I'm going to put my hand in here. And if you look at the other end of the bag, there's this hole here, and I'm going to feel for and pull out the other end of the pipe. And the piece that you want coming out first is the bit with this hook on. And that hook actually makes this little bit slightly tricky, but once it's on, it's pretty easy. And that just pulls up to this end, and ultimately there is a little indent on this piece of tubing, which you'll see, and you just pull it tight to there, and that's now firmly held in place. And if you look closely at the pipe here, it's got this extra little bit sticking out just like the blower tubing did, and that's going to fit in exactly the same way into this recess here. Remember to undo this nut first, and then once it's in place, and you can then tighten this up so it's secure, and that's done. Now, there's the bag dangling down, but when you're using this bag is going to start to receive all your wet leaves and so on. So this is the thing that needs to be supported. And so you now fit the strap onto these two loops, one there, and put that over your shoulder when you're using it. Now remember that the fuel you're going to put in here is 2-stroke. And then always remember to put the top back on your petrol can. I'm putting my ear defenders on. Next thing I'm going to do is to prime the system. Set the choke, and now I'm going to start it. As soon as it starts once, back off the choke. Now, one of the things that's always annoyed me with all the videos I've seen where people are using leaf blowers is that they're always doing it with dry leaves. Well, I can assure you the leaves here are very wet because it's only just stopped raining. I think you might agree that's quite impressive. I'm just going to move them now towards the gap in the hedge so I can get them all into next door's garden. Now I'll just change this from leaf blowing to leaf sucking. Now whatever you do, never ever do any of this with the machine running because you'll be very disappointed. Bag over my shoulder. Now you can see these leaves are wet and this part of the bag is getting quite wet, so you would need to make sure that as the bag gets wet you're not going to ruin your clothing. Now one thing I will definitely recommend to you is that whatever you do, try and get the machine which has got the most volume output. Forget the speed of the air coming out of the thing is almost irrelevant. Now I emptied the bag after doing those few leaves. I think you can see they have been chopped up a bit, and this is the small pile that was created. I'm just doing a quick check to see if there are any sort of maintenance issues having used it as a vacuum, and the first thing I'd suggest is that this bag, which is now damp, in fact it's quite wet, you should make sure you empty it and then put it somewhere where it will dry naturally in the air. Don't scrunch it up in a ball because it'll just go black, nasty and full of fungus and mold and stuff like that. So hang it up in the air to dry, preferably outside in the wind. Now in the machine itself, obviously there's some bits of leaf stuck on the inside of the sucking up tube, and that's of no real consequence, to be honest, not a lot there. And on the inside here, there's a bit of dirt around the orange plastic bit. I picked out one leaf which was stuck in the middle, but other than that it looks in pretty good order. And those leaves, if there are any, stuck inside that path of the air are probably going to dry out and they'll be blown away the next time it's used. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Don't forget, if you're storing a machine over the winter, to empty the fuel out and run it until it's dry. Well, after that admittedly fairly short test, I'm really pleased with this leaf blower. It certainly does everything I expected of it. Don't forget that I was doing that test with wet leaves. Every other video I've seen, the leaves have been dry as bone, and that's so easy to demonstrate any leaf blower. My wife's hairdryer would probably do just as good a job. Now, don't forget what I said, that you need to buy a machine which has got the maximum cubic meters per minute passing through it. That is the most important measurement of a leaf blower. And this machine is right up there near the very top of this class of machine. Now let me say once again how pleased I was with Radmore and Tucker, who don't know I'm making this video, so it'll come as a surprise to them, won't it? And also with Husqvarna for producing what I think to be a very nice and reasonably priced piece of garden machinery. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.